Question Lane. Solving problems through the process of questions and answers.
Something that I always wanted to ask a lawyer about conspiracy. What
Hmm.
is conspiracy as it relates to the law?
Well, the conspiracy, when it relates to the law, is when someone conspires or confederates with one or more people to commit a crime. Um, that's what conspiracy is. And you can conspire with someone to do something illegal, but even your act doesn't necessarily have to be an illegal act. Give you an example. If me and you conspire to sell drugs, and your role is to rent the vehicle um, so that I can take the cocaine to another state and sell it. Renting a car isn't illegal. However, the purpose and your role in that conspiracy would be that you provided the vehicle, even though what you did that's legal. But it's basically conspiring with someone to break some law, state or federally.
So it sounds like there's a lot of discretion as it comes to dealing with judges and dealing with prosecution. Is that correct?
Um, I mean, discretion in what way?
Discretion in the sense that what could be considered conspiracy versus actually being accused of doing something as an actual crime. Where
Well,
if you're robbing a bank, you got caught in an act. That's a act. If you
mhm.
are fighting someone, that's an act. But if you are talking about fighting someone on the phone, that could be considered conspiracy. Is that correct?
Depending on what that is related to. If you're on the phone and we solidify that we're in a gang together, and the reason why you're gonna beat or we're gonna beat this particular group of people up is to spread our power in our gang or take over certain territories, then yeah, that conversation can be construed as something towards a conspiracy.
Understood. Understood. So one thing that I want to talk about here is solutions because there's a lot
Mhm.
of people who talk about problems, and I'm one of them.
Mhm.
I'm guilty. I'm the
Mhm.
first one to put my hand up.
And we
But
take it.
uh, but making the change towards talking about offering solutions and suggestions is something I want to get into this year. So
Okay.
when it comes to traffic stops or law enforcement officers coming to your home, what do you suggest
Mhm.
is the protocol towards dealing with those type of situations?
Well, it's- one is to speak intelligently. Two is to always know that you have a right to remain silent. No one can come into your house without unless you invite them or you consent, or there's some set of emergency circumstances, or if if or barring all those other things, they got to have a warrant, have a search warrant. Um, that's one if you have a house. As a car, you know what? He's not. I'm sorry, he's not coming. You if it's if it's a car stop, technically the police have to have a reason on why they're stopping you. It can't just be because they feel like it. It has to be some sort of, um, if they think criminal activity is afoot, if there's some furtive motion that they feel their life is in danger. Those are some of the things that they could do. Now, what police officers often do is they conduct pretextual stops. In other words, they'll say you did an improper lane change, but they only did that because they want to pull you over and search you for something else. So you got to be careful of that. But for me, I think what most citizens should understand is that they have the right to remain silent, and they have a right to ask questions. And ask those questions, and don't implicate yourself in any crime, but ask questions. Don't let officers in your house if they don't have a warrant. Um, Police officers come to your car, they want to pull you over. Ask them why they're pulling you over. Don't consent to them searching your vehicle. Those are some of the things that you have a right to do.
So it sounds like you're saying the importance of asking questions and staying silent strategically
Yep.
would
Yep.
be the best bet going forward.
Yep. Absolutely.
Are you familiar with? There was a case in Arkansas where it was a young man who was meeting up with, I guess, family at a gas station to go back to another part of the city, and he was pulled out of his car. Are you familiar with that case?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, there was a guy. I don't recall his name right now, but like I said, he was meeting up with family at a parking lot at a gas station to go to another part of the city, and the cops were called for whatever reason. And what he did was he recorded himself on Facebook saying that, this guy's threatening to kill me. He was referring to the cops. And the guy was telling him the police officer was telling him to turn the car off and put it in park. But he said he didn't want to move his hands because he didn't want to get shot. So do you think something like avoiding an officer's commands but keeping your hands in the air where they can see them, would that be something that you suggest that people do, or what's your suggestion on that?
That's definitely something that will keep you. You should always do something that's going to make sure you live to tell your story. So anything that you're doing to protect yourself is always a plus. Using your phone to record is always a good idea. Absolutely. I would turn on my phone and record any interaction with any law enforcement officer. I think that's always a good strategy. And I think I don't see anything wrong with that.
There was an article that came out last year that talked about a former state senator in Brooklyn. I think his name was Jesse Hamilton.
I know Jesse personally.
Oh, okay. He proposed some type of legislation where there would be penalties for people who excessively call 911 on black people for just doing mundane things. Do you think something like that? I'm not sure the status of that legislation or if it got passed, but do you think
I don't think it passed.
Do you think something like that would be something that black people should focus on across the country, or do you think that's kind of something that's not possible?
That's for politicians. I think if black people want to change how, if we're concerned about how this system treats us, laws isn't, people who legislate, that they do that. Let them do that. But that shouldn't be our main focus. Our main focus should be about protecting our children, protecting ourselves, making sure that people are held accountable when we aren't protected or when we were treated unfairly, forming neighborhood watch groups in our own community to watch the people who supposed to be coming in there to protect us, watching the people who come to our communities and don't necessarily respect it. We should be coming up with other paradigms and constructs, not just waiting for these politicians to come up with ideas when something hits the fan. That's my opinion.
One of the big ways that I find would be something that would be possible in countering this system is entrepreneurship. I'm really big with entrepreneurship and building businesses and working with others to solve problems. How important do you think entrepreneurship is for black people to solve our problems?
Well, it's not the sole answer. I think you have to back that up through what we just talked about a little bit earlier, which is education. You can have all the, think about entrepreneurship, how many black people are into entrepreneurship. Our problems haven't gone away because Oprah has a successful business, or Jay-Z has a successful business, or Robert Johnson has a successful business. There's always been successful businesses of black people in this country. That's not an issue. We've always had successful businesses. What we need to fight white supremacy is not individual success or businesses. It's having our own ideology on how to socialize and evolve in this system. So, yeah, entrepreneurship is great for capitalism. It puts you in a position to provide for yourself and your family. That's great. But when it's talking about black people's problems, that's two different things that we're talking about. If your business is if it's socially responsible towards something, yeah, great. But not all businesses are about that.
And when I say business, I'm referring to companies that are in the neighborhoods where there are black people, to employ them and to offer different opportunities of that sense. I'm not talking about like Oprah or Jay-Z.
Yeah, but, I know what you're saying, but sometimes our model is that it's not really locally in what we're talking about. Local business, if it's responding to the issues in that community, is always a plus. If it's informed by the right things and the direction of the company is coming more than just making a dollar, that it has some social value to it.